What if the walls of our homes could truly talk? I mean, not in some spooky haunted house kind of way, but by whispering vital information about their health, about our well-being.
Yeah, like hidden issues that often go unnoticed.
Exactly. Allowing us to maybe prevent problems before they even start. Today, we are taking a deep dive into that exact idea.
It's a really fascinating concept, isn't it? We're exploring the world of, well, connected homes or smart homes, specifically looking at how these technologies are playing out in UK social housing.
And our deep dive today is built around a pretty powerful executive summary and some recommendations from a recent report. What's it called again?
It's titled, If Homes Could Talk, Connected Homes in Social Housing, From Pilot Paralysis to Predictive Practice. It's by Matthew Gardner and Dr. Philip Demoujian for the Disruptive Innovators Network.
Okay, so our mission today is really to get under the skin of why these, well, incredibly promising Internet of Things, IoT technologies, haven't really scaled up across the social housing sector, despite, the obvious potential.
Yeah, we need to unpack the key barriers holding them back. And crucially, look at how we can move from what this report calls pilot paralysis, which sounds pretty bad, to truly predictive practice.
Right, ultimately creating healthier, safer, and, well, much more responsive housing for residents.
We'll explore what's really holding back this potential revolution, map out a clear path forward, and then maybe paint a picture of what housing could look like when these systems genuinely put people first. It's about getting beyond just the tech, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this then. You start reading this report, and it immediately sets up this huge contrast. On one hand, it talks about the connected home sector being alive with potential. You get this vision of intelligent, responsive homes.
Yeah, really beneficial stuff.
But then, almost in the next breath, it pivots to the stark reality. The sector is stretched, fragmented, and searching for a way through. And it flags that this isn't just, a technology issue, it's deeper.
It's a systems problem, as they put it, which is striking because, the core ingredients for change seem to be there. Landlords have shown persistence, innovation, but things just aren't lining up properly.
So what did the report find? What's causing this stalemate?
Well, a few key things. For one, loads of organizations are just stuck in endless pilot phases. They put sensors in, they get mountains of data, but there's no clear plan for what happens next, no integration strategy.
So the data just sits there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate into action. It's like gathering all the ingredients for a fancy meal, but never actually cooking anything,
That sounds incredibly frustrating. So you've got the data, but actually using it is the hurdle. What stops that translation into action?
Well, a big part is that strategic aims are all over the place. Some landlords see IoT just as a way to tick compliance boxes. Others see it for retrofit. Only a few are thinking bigger, like rethinking their whole service model.
So that lack of a unified vision fragments everything.
Exactly. And the data itself is often disconnected. Alerts might pop up on a dashboard somewhere, maybe, but if nobody really owns that dashboard, or if the staff aren't trained or, frankly, incentivized to act early, it just becomes noise.
And the report brings up a really critical point about residents, doesn't it? They're often sort of an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. Tenants might accept the tech, but, only if the benefits are real and clear, and if they feel they have some control. Poor messaging, unclear value that can kill a project dead. Because trust, well, the report says trust is incredibly fragile.
Makes sense if you don't get why it's there or feel it's being done to you.
Precisely. And it's not just internal stuff. The supplier market itself is fragmented. You've got closed systems, different standards, procurement processes that, frankly, don't really push for openness or actual service impact.
So tech issues, strategy issues, resident issues, supplier issues.
Yeah.
It's complex.
But the report really points to culture as the real blocker. That shift from just reacting when things break, failure response, to actually preventing them, failure prevention, that needs totally new skills, new mindsets, new ways of measuring success.
And most housing services aren't built that way, are they? They're built to react.
Fundamentally, yes. So it's a huge cultural lift.
That's a profound shift. And the report lists, 10 specific barriers? Emphasizing this goes way beyond just needing more devices. It really makes you think about how these systems work or don't work, like insufficient resident trust and conditional consent.
Yeah, that one's huge. People don't trust it, they'll reject it. Or maybe even unplug the sensors. Why wouldn't you if you don't see the point or feel it's intrusive?
Exactly. And it's not just about collecting data, it's using it. The report mentions data infrastructure is fragmented and immature.
Right, so even if you get good data, it ends up being noise instead of insight. It makes it almost impossible for landlords to act early or fairly or sometimes even at all. Just lost potential.
And another barrier they flagged, skills gaps across the organization. Staff being underprepared for data-led services.
Which means, you could have the best tech in the world, but if your frontline teams don't understand the dashboards or what the data actually means for their job,
It's useless.
pretty much. Then there's that cultural resistance and organizational inertia. The report says established norms, workflows, and mindsets resist the operational shift. The old ways just push back hard.
So all these things combined mean these potentially amazing connected home technologies could just end up being, well, the report calls them expensive white elephants.
Yeah, sadly. Just sitting there, not delivering value.
Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom, right? This is where it gets interesting.
Right. This is where the report really shifts gears. It doesn't just list problems. It lays out a comprehensive roadmap to clear the path forward. And it stresses that none of these barriers are actually immovable. In fact, the actions it suggests are designed to sort of reinforce each other. It's a holistic approach, Fixing one thing helps unlock progress elsewhere.
That idea of a reinforcing system is key, isn't it? You can't just cherry pick one solution. So where does an organization even start with something that feels so interconnected?
Well, one of the big first steps they recommend is to fundamentally change the procurement playbook. Forget the old ways of just buying boxes or hardware.
Like buying light bulbs, as you said.
Exactly. Instead, commission for impact, not hardware. Demand integration from suppliers. Demand long-term collaboration. Focus on the outcomes you want to achieve, not just the cheapest upfront kit.
Makes sense. And crucially, back to the residents, partnering with residents.
Absolutely critical. The report is really strong on this. Consent is not a formality, it's a relationship. You have to genuinely show people the benefits, give them proper control over their data, and this is key act on their feedback.
So if they opt out,
You listen. You understand why. And if they opt in, you actually deliver on the promises. It changes the whole dynamic from like a transaction to a partnership.
okay, so procurement, resident partnership. What about the data itself?
Well, the roadmap urges organizations to stitch the data together or drown in it. The goal isn't necessarily some perfect, all-singing, all-dancing platform right away.
Because that sounds daunting.
It is. So start smaller. Connect the systems you already have, automate maybe one key process, prove it works, show the value, and then scale up from there. It feels much more achievable.
Right, build momentum. And that links to the skills piece, doesn't it? Train for tomorrow, not yesterday.
Exactly. Shifting from that firefighting default to a prevention mindset, frontline staff have to understand those dashboards. The report has a great line. If they're baffled by the dashboard, it's not a smart home.
Because the data won't lead anywhere. The smartest sensor is useless if no one acts on the alert.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the big one. Culture. You have to break the culture before it breaks the tech. This isn't like a nice to have.
It's fundamental.
The report calls it an operating system upgrade for the whole organization. Prevention has to become the North Star, guiding everything, incentives, workflows, how success is measured. It needs to be the default way you operate.
So building on this roadmap, the report then issues a pretty powerful call to action aimed at everyone involved, landlords, suppliers, sector bodies, even regulators. It's about moving beyond just, dipping a toe in the water with pilots.
Yeah, the core principles are really clear. First, stop piloting without purpose. If you're starting a pilot, you need a clear plan for how it scales, how it becomes business as usual. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. And then
Then redesign services around prediction. If the data you're collecting doesn't actually trigger an action, maybe you shouldn't be collecting it. It has to lead somewhere useful.
makes sense. And for suppliers?
It's about ending supplier lock-in. Demand open APIs. Those are like universal adapters that let different systems talk to each other. And demand modular systems so you're not trapped with one single vendor for everything.
More flexibility. And again, circling back to tenants.
Always.
Mhm.
Position tenants as partners, not just recipients. Co-design, the report insists, isn't a courtesy, it's a condition of trust. You have to build it with them.
And it also calls for changing what gets measured, right?
Yeah. Reward prevention, fund collaboration, regulate in real time. Move away from just counting repairs after they happen and start valuing the problems that didn't happen because you caught them early.
That's a big shift. Looking at the specific recommendations, the report breaks them down into, what, 8 areas?
8 key domains, yeah. For strategic leadership, it's pretty blunt. Mandate a connected home strategy or don't bother. It has to be core business, owned and funded right from the top. Otherwise, it's just tinkering.
And under skills training and workforce readiness?
The message is clear. Retrain for prediction.
Yeah.
And reward prevention, not firefighting.
Okay.
Also, crucially, shift staff from fear to fluency. Because a lot of resistance isn't malice, it's just feeling scared or unsure about this new data-driven world.
That makes sense. You need to build confidence, not just technical skills.
Exactly. It's cultural transformation again.
And for resident engagement, what are the non-negotiables?
Well, first, give residents a seat at the design table. They're not just data points, they're co-owners of this process. Second, no consent, no censor. Simple as that. Trust first.
And judging success.
Let residents judge success. Don't just rely on your internal KPIs. Their lived experience is the ultimate measure of whether this is actually working and making things better.
Okay, and then procurement.
2 big things. Ban black box suppliers, those closed proprietary systems that lock you in and cut the lowest price addiction. Think total value over the long term, not just the cheapest initial price tag. You're investing in infrastructure here.
And finally, policy. Any big ideas there?
Yeah, from a policy and regulation angle, they actually suggest pushing for an IoT clause in decent homes too. Using this tech for continuous compliance monitoring, moving beyond just snapshot inspections towards real-time understanding of home health.
Wow, okay. So that's the problem, the roadmap, the call to action. What could this actually look like? The report paints a picture, doesn't it? A future vision for 2035.
It does, and this is where it gets really compelling. It imagines what life could be like if these barriers are actually overcome, if the roadmap is followed. It uses these like mini narratives to bring it all to life.
So we meet Amanda Wright, who's a tenant, and she reflects back to 2025. What was her experience like then?
Pretty bleak, sadly. Damp, mold, freezing rooms, repairs that took forever. And she talks about feeling judged all the time, like the landlord thought the problem was you.
Ouch.
Yeah. And she remembers a failed pilot project where sensors got installed, but then people just unplugged them or threw them out because, as she says, no one explained why. Just dropped in with no context.
And she had this key insight, didn't she?
She did. Her big realization was, I'll trust the system when the system trusts me back. Which is just so powerful, right? It sums up that whole relationship piece.
Absolutely. So fast forward to 2035 in this vision. How has things changed for Amanda?
Well, now her home genuinely talks. Not literally, but through its data. Air quality, humidity, temperature, energy use, even movement patterns that might suggest issues. She gets proactive little nudges on her app like, low airflow detected, would you like us to arrange a check?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, leading to automatic upgrades sometimes. Things like leaks or potential electrical faults get flagged before she even notices them. She has this Homes Health dashboard in her resident app, which gives her real peace of mind.
So what was the fundamental change that made this possible for Amanda?
The report emphasizes that residents like Amanda became partners, not just people things happened to. They co-designed the messages, the app rules. When residents said something felt intrusive, the Housing Association actually listens and adapted.
So they built that trust.
Exactly. Making data access optional, being transparent, it led to more people opting in because it felt like their system helping them, not just the landlord monitoring them. And crucially, prevention got rewarded, not blame. Repair teams turn up, knowing what the issue likely is, ready to fix the root cause.
And how does Amanda describe feeling in 2035?
Her words are safe, respected, predictable, like I matter. The system catches things early, preventing those awful, stressful battles she used to have. It's not just smarter housing, she says, it's more human.
That's a fantastic outcome. Then the vision shifts perspective, right?
Yeah.
Sarah Malik, a director of homes and assets at a fictional housing association, Viridia Housing, also in 2035.
Yeah, and her morning routine is completely different. She starts her day looking at the estate's breath, as she calls it, through a digital twin of their housing stock. What was once just a planning model is now a live diagnostic tool.
A digital twin, so like a virtual replica that mirrors the real thing.
Exactly, fed by real-time data. She gives an example. Her dashboard flags an unusual spike in airborne ammonia across 5 flats. Turns out it's an early sign of a specific type of decay, something they now catch routinely thanks to the system. Proactive intervention follows immediately.
It sounds like the whole estate has like a nervous system.
That's exactly the analogy the report uses. This sensing web is built into the homes modular, mostly invisible, detecting things like CO2, nitrogen dioxide, formaldehyde, even mold precursors at incredibly fine resolutions like parts per trillion.
Oh.
And it triggers automated, tiered responses. Maybe just adjusting ventilation remotely, maybe scheduling an inspection. No more guesswork about whether a home is truly healthy.
But with all this automation, where does the human element, like Sarah's role, fit in? It sounds like the system does a lot.
Well, her job fundamentally shifts. She's not chasing work orders anymore. The system handles a lot of the triage, sending stress maps to engineers, queuing retrofit recommendations based on heat loss data, alerting pest control about rodent activity behind walls.
So what does she do?
Her role becomes about curating the estate's future. She interacts with Isla, their digital twin. Isla isn't like conscious AI, but it holds historical data, simulates upgrade impacts, stress tests, emergency plans. Sarah uses it to spot depot patterns.
Like what kind of patterns?
For instance, she notices a pattern of high humidity in homes with the same north-facing orientation, but across different building types and ages. The system flags it, but it takes human insight to figure out why. Is it cultural, behavioral, maybe even policy-related? That requires human judgment.
So she moves from being a controller to more of a curator, an interpreter.
Exactly. Asset management becomes interpretive. Her key skills are now things like pattern recognition, understanding different disciplines, cross-disciplinary fluency, and really importantly, ethical framing.
Ethical frame.
Yeah, drawing clear lines. She mentions no biometric monitoring, no individual behavior tracking without explicit ongoing consent. It's about using the tech responsibly. She's become a real systems thinker.
And the results, what's the payoff for Viridia Housing in this 2035 scenario?
The payoff is huge and quantifiable. Complaints down 45%. Unplanned maintenance slashed by 60%. Resident well-being scores are up. Staff morale is higher. Even the language changes. They talk about homes with awareness, not just stock.
That's a massive difference.
It really is. And looking forward, Sarah's preparing to talk to her board about deploying new, ultra-precise moisture sensors in their timber frame homes, aiming to get ahead of rot cycles and cut long-term costs even further.
And her concluding thought is quite powerful, isn't it?
It really sums it up. When your homes can whisper to you in real time, you stop managing assets. You start listening to them and the people who live there.
Wow, what a journey we've covered. From that state of pilot paralysis and social housing's use of connected homes, right through to this potential future where data enables genuinely proactive, human-centered living and asset management.
Yeah, and the key takeaway feels like it's less about the shiny tech itself and much more about that systemic shift, the cultural change, the focus on people and trust.
Absolutely. This report really makes it clear that the technology for homes to talk, in a sense, is largely here already, or certainly getting there fast. The real challenge and where the real transformation lies seems to be in our willingness to actually listen, to build that trust, and to redesign our human systems around these new capabilities.
It definitely makes you pause and think, doesn't it? What silent systems might be present in your own life or your work or your community. Systems that, if you really started to listen differently, could perhaps transform how you operate or connect or solve problems.
That's a great question to ponder. The implications of genuinely shifting from just reactive firefighting to proactive prevention in any field really are potentially profound. And the central lesson here, as this report really hammers home, is just how critical trust and real human partnership are to making any technological innovation truly successful and beneficial.